Oh, my Africa is in trouble. Here is what will destroy Africa. It is happening now. If we do not react today, we are finished as a species. There's a global agenda against Africans, and there's a great selling out that is taking place. The most important alert involves a news on Black Africa. Is China colonizing Africa? Yes. It is using soft policy for now. Africa has become a resource of oil, minerals, and metals for China, while this China is doing things that Africans can do, like building our own roads, building our own hospitals, and building our own schools. But we want trade, immigration, and security. There are now over 5 million Chinese who have come into Africa. Many of them could be criminal. We see here in South Africa, they have already started to have their own police station. This has never happened anywhere on earth, where people that invest send the police and build their own police station with their different communication systems. We see here Major General Peko Parasi. He's talking to Ku Peiwa, Secretary General of the South African Chinese Community and Police Cooperation Center on Local Security. Why can we not supply our own security? Just imagine if any country or all countries could do this. How many police systems could we have in many places? The Chinese are coming into Africa. In 2010, these are the numbers of Chinese in Africa. These are the numbers of Chinese in Africa. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. They come as workers for oil, for minerals, and many other objectives. What can we do? Paeket's principle proves that China wants Africa for itself. Eventually, it will wipe out all indigenous people, black people. Here is the proof. They have a record of doing that, revealing Asia's biggest secret agenda. This is Paeket's principle, the military alert, news alert. We were first in Asia. We are no longer there today. After that, there is coming military conquest of Africa by China. The current situation, misappropriation of arable land and mineral resources, fisheries and oil, massive uncontrolled and illegal immigration, violation of African state sovereignty, increasing military presence, and many others which we have already elaborated. As the leading creditor of the majority of African countries, China is in a strong position, and this raises many concerns. Seizing Africa and its resources, a 2,000-year-old plan. Even the Africa report says the emperor's appetite for African resources, strategic locations, new markets, and reliable allies. China wants it all. You can study this and read this a lot on isu.com shown here. Seizing Africa and its resources is a 2,000-year-old Chinese plan. Knowledge and technology no longer belong to anyone. China and the industrialized nations have one goal: the grabbing of Africa and its innumerable lands and resources. In fact, this ambition has been that of China for more than 2,000 years. The Chinese massacred hundreds of millions of black people who peopled Asia to seize their lands and wealth. It is this conceived, organized, centralized, and implemented China's policy of genocide that is at the core of the research program that produced the Paeket's principle, the greatest secret of Asia. The Chinese are a people of consumers who build little but destroy everything and kill en masse. These are the constant factors of this nation for thousands of years. Their water and air are polluted to the extreme. Their population is poor and too numerous. China is already using all means, including trickery and weapons, to seize the resources needed by the Chinese. Africa is the only place where to find in abundance and without adequate military protection these resources, land and strategic resources. It is this conceived, organized, centralized, and implemented China's policy of genocide which we must be aware of. Let us look at the Zambian example for starters. To temporarily stop this dangerous policy of China, we must attack it on its criminal record, its criminal past, its genocidal past. It would also help to build consensus and unity in Africa. You can see here the Zambian President Edgar Lungu is pleading. He has been defeated. He shows weakness. He shows failure to lead. Zambia is reportedly in talks or was in talks with China over a possible takeover of the country's electricity company ZESCO after defaulting on payments. That's the trick. They give you the bonds, they give you the loan, they give you the money, which they know you are corrupt and you won't be able to pay back. This is according to a report by Africa Confidential titled Bills, Bonds and Even Bigger Debts, claiming that Zambia risks losing its sovereignty to China, which is bound to seize its national assets once the government defaults on loans. This is a process. This is a process that is being implemented across Africa by China. China is there to recolonize Africa, and African leadership is fast asleep, thinking that money from China is easy, go easy tech. They don't know what's befalling them. But package principle is alerting us to this and letting us know and learn this criminality. China needs resources. Therefore, this is what China's land grab for Africa is. That's how they are doing it. Sudan, they've sent the military there in guise of peacekeeping, and then Sudan supplies China with oil and arms. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, China fuels illegal ivory trade, destruction of natural resources, cutting of trees, and besmirching of our soils, earth, and rivers. In Zimbabwe and many other countries, China seeks platinum, gold, nickel, and diamonds, and recolonizing and taking over the land. In Uganda, they've taken over the land. They will soon seize everything. In Nigeria, there are 50,000 Chinese that have settled there, intermarrying and mixing up our people. In Sierra Leone, China is building stadiums and doing all it can. In Angola, China is the biggest consumer of Angolan oil. In Namibia, China has built the presidential palace. For African Union, they've built the African Union headquarters in Ethiopia. So China is there for the grab. What do we know? And this is a fact, a provable fact, is that Asian Chinese committed a lot of genocide on black people of Asia. This is it. Global agenda against black Asians. The package principle and its scientific data make it possible to demonstrate the centralized policy of genocide perpetrated by China against blacks throughout Asia. For example, the genocide of the kingdom of Gudara, ancestors of the Japanese, is the sole motive for this endless war that still pits China against Japan today. The numerous genocide is the key explanation of the crisis on the Korean Peninsula. The package principle established a link between this criminal past in China, in Asia, by China's genocide projects in Africa today. Impose the genocide of black people be on the agenda of the Korean Peninsula crisis settlement between China, Japan, and the two Koreas. Only scientific evidence of China's crimes against black people in Asia and their publicity is our weapon now. Is the weapon that our government can have to use. Will allow us to temporarily stop the Chinese conquest of Africa and reassess certain contracts that have already been agreed. You must grab this book. You must have this book. You must study this book and give this book, Package Principle, the greatest secret of Asia. You must give it to all the members of parliament in Africa. Brother Bayem Biik crafted this after thorough research for over 20 years. You can get this book from Lulu Publishers. And this is a scientific reference. We were the first in China, and we are no longer there. You can also watch Hamiti Hebrew Ethics, a video on the genocide of black people in Asia by the Chinese and by the mulatto Asian. So, what can you do? And me, what can we do about this? Yes, we are in this together as black people across the earth. Whether you're in America, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in New Zealand, whether you're anywhere on earth, we are in this together. We are in this together. We are in this war together, because the death and the demise of the motherland of Africa is your death and demise too. Spread this message. This is what you can do. This vital message, spread it in all your social networks. This is Africa News LA. Let others know that China is recolonizing Africa and will take over the whole continent if we do not stop it today, now. Spread this message. Hamiti Hebrew Ethics, self-service breeds self-preservation. That's the way for the black people today. Self-preservation. Spread this message. Finally, Africa is free. We have won it already. The United States of Africa, we are free. We have won. Thank you. This is Priest Teacher Rabbi Elem Dumizulu. You can contact us on this email, time to walk the talk. This is our website where you can visit us. Thank you. Goodbye.